Europe was actually giving Guyana 23, 24 cents a pound for sugar. It's a subsidy, right? And they knew from the mid-1990s that this is going to go. What did they do? They invested $200 million US, which is the biggest single investment the government ever made in an industry in Guyana. This is different from building roads and schools and so on. And then there's another story with deer, because I mean, every school that is built for some strange reason is breaking up in 5-6 years. I don't know what these contractors are doing, but that's another issue. $200 million US were invested in sugar in a factory that was built by the Chinese, who don't know how to build sugar factories. Let's be frank. And India could have done this. India wanted to build this factory. For some reason, through some negotiation somewhere, Jack Dio decided to go with the Chinese investor. And today, the factory is not working well, $200 million US. There is not enough cane to feed the factories. And they're spreading all kinds of rumors. Sugar workers they only want sweet skin work. This is the rumor you will hear if you go in the villages. Sweet skin, they don't want to cut cane. Well, those guys certainly want jobs. Okay? Well, listen, you can't produce sugar because sugar is not a very valuable commodity. We need sugar, I mean, to sweeten coffee and tea and so on, and, you know. What you need to do is to have investors come in and probably make chocolate and Rice Krispies and so on, so we can use the sugar that some of the estates make. But the AFC plan is very different. It's fundamentally different from the PPP's plan, which is to go deeper into sugar, and they messed up the sugar industry, right? And our plan is basically one, we will move into ethanol as Brazil did in the 70s, right? And we have an E10 policy. If ever you go buy gas in Florida, what do you notice? When you buy gas, regular, what does it say? 10% ethanol. And that ethanol was manufactured in America by corn. And actually sugar is more efficient to produce ethanol than corn, right? And it's a very simple technology. And I'm going to tell you that it could have already happened under Jack Dio. Again, mysterious things happen with this man and his policy. I tell you all kinds of strange, mysterious things that is not making sense. So this guy has really messed up policy in Guyana. What the Barbadians got right, what this man is doing to Guyana today. So our policy is to use Gaisuku's sugar assets to make ethanol, which Guy oil will mix, you know, and manufacturing jobs will be created. The point is you want to upgrade manufacturing jobs. And Guy oil will mix the 10% sugar ethanol with the gasoline, right? Because the current vehicles, the car engines, your Toyotas and Hondas and so on, can only run on a maximum 10% ethanol, right? The Brazilians have the flex fuel, the E85, but Brazil makes its own engines in cars. Brazil is a very industrialized country. So they can have 85% ethanol. But right now we will not be able to go there. Now speaking about, so who is going to do this? Would the AFC do it? No, the AFC doesn't have to do it. The Starbrook News reported 3 years ago, and again, Google this and find this out for yourself. Go online and find this out. 9 investors want to come and invest in Guyana's ethanol. Brazilians and Indians, right? 3-4 years ago, one of the Brazilians wanted to go into the Kanji Basin, a $350 million US investment, and none of this the Jack Dio administration accepted. Why? Right? Why? And that's the question. I don't want to get sued, or I don't want to probably be shot because I have to go to Guyana. But you should ask yourself why. I wouldn't tell you that tonight. I can't tell you that. But we have a fair idea as to why. Okay? And this is where it makes perfect economic sense for job creation, saving foreign exchange. A country must have foreign exchange. So the AFC is not going to build these factories. The AFC can't build the factories, but the AFC will free up the economic space and bring the investors in who really want to invest. It's as simple as that.
Is the AFC going to be open to open capitalism?
Yes, it's actually stated in the blueprint, sorry, the action plan, that the AFC believes, as one of our foundations, a private sector-driven economy. Yes.
And question answer.
Yeah, right. So that's I'm trying to give you examples that have been reported in the media so you can verify for yourselves. Again, so what is the difference between ethanol and sugar? Why is ethanol different from sugar? Here is why. And common sense will tell you why. When you got richer, right? You came to the United States, you made some more money, of course. What did you do? Did you put more sugar in your coffee and tea? When you increase your wealth, your income? Can you remember saying, okay, I can move from 1 spoon to 2 spoons? No, you didn't do that, right? But what did you do? You wanted to go on vacation, right? Bahamas, Barbados. You wanted to travel. You wanted to buy a car, right? And when you travel and when you buy cars, what must you consume? Energy. These things can only run on energy. So instead of manufacturing sugar, why not let us manufacture energy? And we do have a renewable energy plan in the action plan. It's another example, which takes me to another fiasco. You know, this is a fiasco, another pie in the sky issue. You may have heard about this thing called the low carbon development strategy. Everybody, right? Well, our president apparently was supposed to save the planet. And the idea of the low carbon development strategy is this, right? That Guyana will not cut its trees, right? And for not cutting your trees, the Europeans and Americans and Australians and so on, the Japanese, will pay us approximately $580 million a year. Okay? That's the plan. And again, this is verifiable. That was the number that the administration threw out. Okay? And this $580 million will go to office of the president, right? And office of the president will decide how to spend this $580 million a year, right? That was the low carbon development strategy, right? Now, you may ask, $580 million is kind of is small change in the United States, right? Given the size of U.S. gross domestic product. It's really small money. But for Guyana, it's massive amounts of money, right? And Guyana's GDP is about $1.3 billion. So 580 divided by 1.3 billion is about 50% of GDP. But the whole thing blew up. And we told them it was going to blow up. And I have written articles on this in the Starbuck News before it blew up. So you can, this is something that's verifiable in the media, right? Because I reviewed the low carbon development strategy for Starbuck News, and I made the point that this thing is unrealistic, and the Americans will not latch on to it. Chinese will not latch on to it, right? And this guy went around the world spreading this thing, right? And it blew up, right? Now, they have something called RED. You may have heard about RED, right? Reducing emissions from deforestation and degradation, RED. And the United Nations has a plan for RED. And it might not happen or materialize for many years to come. And we cannot waste our time, our energies, and our policies on unrealistic things. That's all the AFC is saying, you know. And that really is my big problem with the low carbon development strategy, right? It's a pie in the sky thing. It's not going to happen, right? So remember, for it to really work, Guyana has to keep its forest so we get paid. When the Chinese heard that in Copenhagen, they announced, you know what the Chinese announced? We will replant our forests on a piece of land the size of Norway. Norway is bigger than Guyana, yeah, in land mass. Well, the Chinese they're already telling you, we ain't paying nobody, we gonna plant our own trees, right? That's basically what they're saying. And the Australians are saying, this is not a good idea. Pardon? 3 minutes. Okay, I could go on for, okay. Well, the long story short, this low carbon development strategy thing, the irony is that you're talking about environment and low carbon, and you have not a plan for renewable energy, and we have the plan. It makes no sense that you are talking about low carbon development strategy, and you don't have a plan to remove carbon from the environment. And we will do this through renewable energy. And renewable energy can be made from sugar ethanol, from small scale and medium scale hydro, right? From bagasse, right? From wind turbines. We have a portfolio of energy sources. And one last thing, because somebody raised this laptop issue, right? Well, it's not a pie in the sky policy. It's a waste of money. Not because we believe that poor children should not get computers. Of course poor children should get computers. But it is about $10,000 to $16,000 a month to pay for the internet connection in Guyana, right? Who is going to pay for the internet connections? Laptops are very volatile things, and they typically have a lifespan of 3 years, right, on average. Unless they're the business class laptops, the Lenovo's, which can give you a 4 or 5 year service. And you know, and the price for the laptop is crazy. Yeah? I mean, there's something fishy going on there. I know they corrected, but they're saying it's $250 US. If that laptop is $250 US, it means it's a very inferior laptop with very limited capabilities, right? It's all politics. It's an election year gimmick, right? So the AFC plan is to develop the computer centers at the high schools and the primary schools, where they will be monitored by trained teachers, so kids will get an education in information technology. It's that simple, right? So everything these jokers did, we will do it in a superior manner. Even the housing scheme, let's give credit where it's due. The PPP has only one thing on its sides, in open housing schemes, all right? And you may want to ask, the issue of this. So jobs is really the key, and our housing schemes will be done better, right? We'll make sure we drain the place first, and before you build a scheme, at least we can tell you that. So everything that they did, we can do it 20, 30 times superior, and there is really no development in Guyana. You cannot have development unless people have jobs. People cannot live on remittances. You can't have a large underground economy. It makes no sense. That's not the way to run an economy, right? And yes, I've been thinking about this for many, many years. My first job was as an economist at the Bank of Guyana, and until I came to the US to do my PhD. Now, I have to close by telling you a story that really, I've always been concerned by Guyana, because in 1992 I just turned 18 and I voted for the very first time for Chetty Jagan, and I actually was the PPP polling agent in Agricola, and I was the PPP guy in Agricola and so on, and I remember how the ballot box, we had problems and so on, but I'm not going to get into that. But I've always been politically conscious, but there is something else that have really ignited something in me to really want to help Guyana, because I now have a very good life in the US. I really shouldn't be doing this, but I just can't forget Guyana. And there's several things. I went to, I did my master's degree in England, and then I went to New York and I did my PhD. And this is not a PhD that is given by an unaccredited university. These are real PhDs. This is no joke. We have to do like 60 course credits, write dissertation, something that never happened before, and that kind of stuff. But that's another story. Now, my friends at University of Manchester in England and in New York, I had friends from Uganda, from Fiji, from South Africa, from India, and really everybody went back home. And the other thing, the other thing was that nobody knew about Guyana. And it always pains me. No one knows about Guyana. My friends want to go back home. And we got to make this place better. We got to make this place like Barbados. And we got to learn from the examples of people like Sir Courtney Blackman, and learn from the Barbados model. What is it that they did that we failed to do? And yes, both the PPP and the PNC have failed us since independence. Thank you very much.
Well, Tarron can go on and on and on. I'm quite sure you'll all find it very exciting. This guy has a tremendous amount of knowledge base when it comes to the Caribbean, when it comes to Guyana, and of course when it comes to the economics and the workings of these economies in the Caribbean.